Hey everyone, my name is Matt Oliveira. I'm a senior developer at Lullabot. Recently I've been using the new merge request workflow on Drupal.org for some contrib work, and I thought I'd throw together a quick walkthrough to show people how it works and how I've been using it recently. And I also have been using the brand new Tugboat integration to allow for some live preview environments on issues, which is very neat and handy. So I thought I'd show that as well. So yeah, Drupal.org added some more GitLab integrations last November, including merge requests, which is really nice. It gives you an alternate workflow to the patch workflow, which is something that has been around for a long time. But if you've done development on places like GitHub and GitLab itself, if you've played with projects there, in my opinion at least, it's a much better experience, more collaborative, less chance of losing things, that sort of thing. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's take a look at how this works. So I've got this module. It's the Fitbit Module. I wrote up an 8.x version of this module for an article on Lullabot.com, and there's been a couple of patches submitted in the last little while, and I thought that this would make a good example for showing some of this. So let's take a look at this one. Looks like somebody had submitted a patch to fix some array syntax, which is nice. And so this individual has submitted a patch, which is, is the way we've done things for a very, very long time. And I have the Dreditor Chrome extension installed. It's an extension that helps you navigate patches a little bit better and issue queue in general. And so I get these nice blue buttons to take a look at the patch. So I can see the diff, and I can, if I want, make some comments. Let's say that I had an issue with this line of code. Just some contrived things that I'm making up here. I could do those comments, and I could then click paste down here, and it would take the comments that I made and add some diff headers to point out which line of code I was commenting on, and wrap it in markup so that in the end, when I save this, if I were to, I'm not going to, I would get a nicely formatted message, a nicely formatted comment, and then that person could reply back to my comment, and they could say things like, okay, I did number 1, and I have this issue with number 2 because it made us a numbered list. And if you've seen issues, you already know maybe where I'm going with this, which is it's kind of tricky to keep track of everything when you're going back and forth in this way. And tools like GitHub let you comment in line on a very specific line of the diff, and then that starts a thread, and you can have a back and forth conversation, and you can mark that thread as resolved and carry on. And that's, in my opinion, a much nicer way to work. So the exciting thing is we can do that now. We can have that experience on Drupal.org. So rather than go through the patch workflow, as a maintainer, what I like to do when I encounter an existing issue that somebody has a patch for, I will apply that patch against a issue fork. We'll get into that a little more, and then post a merge request and go from there. So to start, what you need to know is there's this new tool set at the top of the issue that allows you to create what's called an issue fork. And so what this is going to do is it's going to fork the entire module on GitLab, and so that there's a new fork that we're going to use to work on this issue. And it'll also create a new branch for us against the default branch, which for this module is 8.x, 1.x. So all you got to do is click that button, does some work, creates the fork, and then once it's finished creating the fork for us, you get a new set of controls, and in this case what I like to do is I click this Show Commands button, and it gives us some shortcuts for pulling the issue fork down to our local machine. So I'm just going to copy this and mindlessly paste it into my terminal over here. I've already got the Fitbit module cloned, so I've got a local clone of this, which I would have anyways if I was doing the patch workflow. So let's paste those commands. So it's added a remote for the issue fork, and then it's fetching all of the branches and information from that issue fork, and then so that's good. We've got the remote set up. There's some more commands that we can copy paste from the issue. That's super helpful. Right here it says where it says check out this branch. We're going to want that because we're going to do the work on this issue on the branch that was created for us. So we go back to the terminal, paste that command, and now we are on the branch of the issue fork and we're ready to do work on this issue. So because we already have a patch, I'm going to download the patch, so I'll just copy the link and wget that down. And I will now apply the patch. Okay, and then I can review what the patch did. I will just go ahead and add it. Actually, let's do it this way. Oops. Okay, so it's all added, and now I'm going to just commit it. Prefixing the commit names or commits with the issue number is always good. And I'm not going to go through too much effort with the naming of the commit because, as we'll see later, it's just going to get squashed anyways. But now that I've committed that, I'm going to push it up to the remote that was created. And like that. So we're pushing this branch to the Fitbit-issue number remote. And then once we've done that, Git nicely gives us back a link to create a new merge request for the issue. So I follow that link and it should set that all up for us. Yeah, so here we are on GitLab, and you can see that it's created from this issue, like it's a new merge request. It's from our issue fork into the master branch, which we're going to want to change because we're actually wanting that against 8.x, 1.x, and it's my fault as a module maintainer for not making that the default branch. Typically, that would already be set up for you as the default branch. But no worries, we'll just change that branch and then we're ready to go. The details aren't super important. You could, be more verbose in all of the attributes and descriptions that are here, but a lot of this stuff is still managed in the issue, which is kind of a weird thing about this whole workflow. But anyways, you can mostly ignore that and just click the Create Merge Request button. All right, so at this point, here's our merge request. Some nice things, because we formatted our commit like this, where it's like issue hash and the issue number, GitLab knows that I'm linking to an issue, so it nicely links out to that issue. So So that's nice. And then the thing that we're all here for is the diff. So here's the diff. This is the nice interface that we're wanting to use to do collaboration. So, you know, all of the typical things apply when you're looking at a merge request or pull request. And what's really nice is that, you know, you can, as I was referring to earlier, you can start a conversation here. So, I don't know. So, you know, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can start a review, which is going to like queue up all of your comments on the entire thing, and then when you submit the review, it's going to flush all of those with notifications to the appropriate users. And I can just add a single comment. Let's just do that for now. So, and of course, you know, as with GitHub UI, you get this ability to have a threaded conversation now about this single line of code. And then you also, when everything is buttoned up, you can resolve the thread and it's over. And what's nice is that all of the activity that happens on GitLab is posted back to the issue so that none of the context is lost when you're looking at the issue. So I can see that it shows that I made the issue fork, it shows that I opened a merge request, and it shows that I made a comment on the code, which is great. So, and then let's go back here just for completion's sake and resolve the thread. And we come back here and refresh, and we should see a notification here that the thread has been resolved. And so you can imagine, and this way, you know, rather than the old way of patches and having these weird numbered lists in your comments on the issue, you've got individual threads going on the merge request. And that's, you know, in my opinion, it's much easier to track what's going on when you have that. So once everything is great with the merge request, you can, as a maintainer, use the tooling at the bottom of the issue down here. There's this new merge dropdown, and you can select amongst potentially multiple merge requests that have been opened for the issue. Pick the one that you want. Make sure that you're including the correct code contribution credits and make any adjustments to the git command message here. Because this is what's going to be used by this tool to actually make the commit. So I'm happy with everything. It's already been RTBC'd, I think. I should probably check that. Yes, it has, because I didn't look at this in detail. And then you just click merge, and the API in the background is doing the actual merge of the merge request on GitLab. And we get a nice ta-da emoji saying that it's all merged. We can go and check the merge request here to see if that is indeed the case, which it is. Great. And so at this point, the only thing left to do is to close the issue. And save, and we're done. So that was nice. The merge request flow. That's it in a nutshell. And you can also see that the commit is posted back here, which is not a new thing. That has always been the case with the patch workflow or the merge request workflow. So that's it in a nutshell. It's nice. I like the familiar user experience of the merge request or pull request if you are a GitHub user. It's nice having threaded conversations that you can flag as resolved. And it's nice, you know, having that branch to use locally for if you have multiple contributors to be able to both use for collaborative work. So let's run through a couple other scenarios because I also wanted to show the new Tugboat integration. So let's take it from the top and add a new issue. So we're going to add Tugboat Support to this. Let's feature. Tugboat is neat. Okay, so I should probably explain a little bit about what Tugboat is. So Tugboat is a product. It's a company that is owned by Lullabot, and it is a product that lets you create a live preview on a pull request, or in GitLab's case, a merge request. This is super handy. Say like you're working on a Flowbone website. For example, I work on the bravotv.com website, and say I'm adding a feature, it would be super handy to be able to have a publicly accessible URL that I could pass along to stakeholders for them to be able to review the new feature. And that's exactly what Tugboat lets you do. Tugboat will watch for new pull requests and new commits to those pull requests, and it will execute a build of the entire site with the new code that's in the pull request to allow stakeholders to take a look, which is super handy, and is super handy as well for something as simple as a contrib module. So this support was added very, very recently, so you may not have seen it, but there's some documentation about it. It's not too difficult, as we'll see, to set up, and I'll link this below after. So yeah, let's get into it. So just like before, we're going to go through the merge request workflow. So I've got this tooling at the top that lets me create an issue fork. All I do is click the button. It creates that fork for me in the background. And then what I want to do is get that fork down locally in order to be able to work on this. So I'm going to go over to my IDE and terminal, paste those commands. So now I have that fork locally, and next I'll copy paste the command to check out that branch that it created for me locally. Oops. So now I'm on the branch where I want to be, and so now it's time to actually add the feature. So to add Tugboat Support, there is really just one thing that you need to do. You need to create, I'm just going to go find the place where I need to be. Here we go. You need to create a .tugboat folder in the root of your module. And then you need to add a config.yaml file to that folder. Okay. So there's going to be a lot that I'm going to copy paste, and I'm not going to go over it in a ton of detail. This is mostly taken directly from the documentation on Drupal.org, so I'll definitely make sure to link that below. But basically what we have here is it's like a blueprint that Tugboat understands for how to build the website that we're interested in. In this case, what it's going to be is a stock Drupal 8.9.13 site with the Fitbit module installed. So if I did all this right, and I didn't check this, we will be able to see Tugboat build the site once we commit this. So let's just get this all committed. All right, so I've got it committed, and now the next part, as we saw before, is to push this branch up to our issue fork. So Okay, and again, Git and Gitlab conspire to give me a nice link to create the merge request that we need. And let's open that up. Okay, and again, I have to change the branch because the default branch for this project isn't set correctly. But otherwise, it did everything for us. We create that merge request, and here we go. We can review, make sure that we did everything right. And again, if we go back to the issue, we should see some updates over here as to the fact that a fork was created, a merge request was opened, and that sort of thing. So since we're happy with it, we're just going to go ahead and merge it. And again, there is additional tools down here, and this is only something that module maintainers will see, to allow you to select the relevant merge request that you want to merge. Make sure that you have the commit information correct, and go ahead and merge it. So, I should point out at this point that I promised that Tugboat would create a live preview, and we haven't seen that yet. It is a chicken and egg situation. When you're adding Tugboat support, you do have to stand up an issue where you're adding the config file. And then it's only after that, with subsequent new issue forks, that you will see Tugboat building an environment for you. So we'll go back to our issue queue. I believe there's another issue that's pending our approval. So let's take a look over here, and we got a patch for some support for Drupal 9. So let's create an issue fork for this. Again, I'm just using the tooling at the top to create the issue fork. I show the commands. I copy and paste the command to get that remote down to my local. I'm going to go back and grab the command to check out the branch that was created for me to work on this issue. Okay, and then I'll grab the patch to apply locally. Okay. Okay, so now everything's committed and ready to push up to the remote. So I will do that now. So I'm doing git push 3.2 just to pull the issue, which is the right one I want. Yep. This can get tricky. Just as a kind of a tip, if you are finding yourself doing a lot of contrib work, making a lot of issue forks, and bringing those down to your local, your Git remotes start to get a bit crowded, and because they're named so similarly by those commands that you automatically get, I like to, after I'm finished with an issue fork, get rid of it, clean it up right away, so that you don't have all of these remotes and branches that are so similar in naming. So we again push that code up to our issue fork, and we get the link that we can use to create the new merge request. Again, I have to change the default branch because I forgot to set the default. Okay, so let's create the merge request, And hopefully, if I did everything right, then we should be able to go back to the issue and see that Tugboat is working on creating a live preview environment for us. So let's go back to the issue and see what's going on over here. Yeah, great. So again, we get some notifications that the issue fork was created and a merge request was opened. And then at the top here with where our tooling is for the issue fork, there's some additional things that have been added because we now have Tugboat Support, where here we get this notification that Tugboat is building a live preview environment, which is pretty cool. We can click that link to go view the live preview, and we can see that Tugboat is actively building an environment for us, which is pretty cool. We can also see that there's a link for the log, so if anything is going awry with the build, this is the place to come and check it out. You know, unless there's a problem, this just looks like gibberish, and you would never look at it in any amount of detail. But hopefully this is looking like it's gonna finish nicely. We can see that the status is currently committing on a couple of the images. While we're waiting, worth noting, Tugboat is built on Docker, and if you know some things about Docker and then you start to look at the config.yaml, some of those things might start to look familiar, and if you want to get into it in more detail, there's a whole host of documentation that's really helpful on the Tugboat site. But we can see that it's built us a live preview site, which is pretty cool. It's at this crazy URL that is, would be hard to guess at, but is, just as easy to copy paste to other folks that you're wanting to invite into a collaborative peer review or user acceptance testing process. You can log in, if my memory serves, the username and password is admin. Yeah, cool. And other than that, this is a stock Drupal 8 install. The other thing of note is that the module, our core module that we're working on, sorry, not core module, our contrib module that we're working on, Fitbit, is here and it's installed. So that's nice. It just gives you one step of the process out of the way for when you jump into this environment and want to start playing around with the functionality of the module. So as you can see, I'm ready to configure my module, test out how it works, and continue the conversation with other collaborators on the issue. So that's about it. That's really what I wanted to show. I've been having a lot of fun with the merge request workflow. It fits nicely with other places where I do my work on a regular basis, like GitHub. And it's way better than the patch workflow, in my opinion. There's still some rough edges, to be sure. This weirdness of having two places, the merge request and the issue, where work is happening on an issue, is still a bit cumbersome and awkward at times. But on the whole, I think it's a massive improvement, and it shows a lot of promise for the future. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, thanks for watching, and hit me up in the comments if you have any questions. Take care.